Sehr schön. Also, jetzt erzähle erstmal alles auf Deutsch und dann machen wir es auf Englisch nochmal. Herzlich willkommen. Schön, dass ihr alle so zahlreich dazugekommen seid. Wir haben heute das große Glück, ein paar Gäste von Enable hier zu haben, die uns etwas erzählen rings um die Roadmap für RMM und alles, was da noch so kommt und was mit zu tun ist. Vielleicht auch ein paar Dinge, die in letzter Zeit gekommen sind, die wir noch gar nicht alle so richtig mitbekommen haben. Wir haben jetzt einige von unseren Gästen sind nur englisch sprechend. Es ist überhaupt kein Problem. Wir haben genug Menschen hier, die das übersetzen. Ihr könnt also gerne entweder auf Englisch oder auf Deutsch fragen. Wir haben uns trotzdem entschlossen, dass jetzt, weil ja eigentlich die meisten hier bei uns zumindest so gut Englisch verstehen, dass sie das hinkriegen können, wenn es irgendwie Fachbegriffe gibt, dass wir das nicht jetzt irgendwie mit übersetzen. Aber wenn ihr irgendwie Fragen habt, einfach in den Chat kurz Bescheid geben, dann werden wir das entsprechend nachholen. Super, dass es klappt. Wir nehmen das Ganze auf, damit wir das dann hinterher als Video auch noch denen, die es jetzt zu der Zeit nicht geschafft haben oder nicht schaffen konnten, damit wir die auch dann hinten nach dann teilhaben lassen können. Okay, let's do the same thing in English. Quick introduction. Thank you for joining us. We have a few guests from Enable who are going to talk to us a little bit about the roadmap for RMM and, or I should say, Insight, and maybe a little bit of maybe some of the features that came out recently, so we sort of get a good full picture. I explained that you guys are going to talk in English. If there are any questions, we'll translate, and otherwise, if there are Q&A questions, someone doesn't want to ask them in English, we will translate them from German into English. So I guess we'll be fine, as always. And I am very happy that Riley joined us. Riley heads up the complete RMM division. I think this should roughly cover it for Enable. And I'm very happy that, Riley, that you're here to spend a few minutes with us. Also on the phone, also on the call, we have Brian Mackey, who is the product manager for Insight. Great. We are very much looking forward to this. Und dann haben wir noch den Hauke hier als deutschen Techniker von Enable und den Francesco, der für uns, der quasi die SYNAXON betreut. With that, Riley, thank you for being here, and we're all yours.
Excellent. I appreciate the intro. So as referenced, so I'm the general manager of our RMM business unit here at Enable. I can assure you, I know I look like I'm 25, but I've been here for 11 years next month. So I've spent a lot of time basically in various departments. And really my job is to work with Brian and some of our project, Francesco, and more kind of the leaders in the business and help execute cross-functionally within Enable. So I have spent 2 years in the Netherlands working with a lot of our channel partners. Got to know Francesco a little bit more, which is a good thing and a bad thing. But really what I want to convey here is really what our strategy is, in particularly with Insight, and give kind of a little bit of a different perspective on kind of how we're organizing ourselves to help make you as successful as possible. But I'll save most of the slides and the commentary for Brian, who obviously leads up product management for the Insight side. So what I hope some of you have felt so far this year, but then I'll also say over the next 3 months will probably be a much different change in trajectory, is basically our renewed focus on basically stabilizing and enhancing the core offerings of our RMM product. I would say, having been here for 10 years, I've seen us focus a lot on making our existing features as great as possible. I also saw us spend 3 or 4 years focusing on trying to add new products or new billable services to the offering. 2 years ago, when I took over, we basically built a plan, and Brian spent well over 50% of his time focusing on what we consider quality of service, which is kind of making sure everything that's in the product should work as designed. It should work flawlessly. So we still have one, really, I'd call it big thing that needs to come out. We have good news for that with regards to real-time script running. But that being said, Brian's put a lot of focus on that, while we've been building a lot of new infrastructure in the back end. And what that really is really allowing us to deliver actual innovation. So I would say if you kind of look at it from the calendar year, the last 9 months have really been, from a partner perspective, focused on like stabilizing and making the product run as smoothly as possible. That being said, that won't stop, but we've been funding a lot of innovation on the back end in the next kind of 3 to 6 months, including, effectively as of October, will be a lot more about enhancements. So not just making sure that things run reliably, making sure that we've invested in our UX and our filtering and making it a lot simpler to use, easier to use, which is really more of the kind of more common things that we know that as a product we've under-delivered on over the last couple of years. So before I hand it off to Brian, I will say that the 3 M's, Marvin, Martin, and Marcus, they drive a lot of this roadmap for us. So don't think it's just Brian and I and a whiteboard. We're chatting with this team, not necessarily myself every time, but sometimes weekly, sometimes daily, definitely either monthly or quarterly. And they are passing along all the feedback from you and helping us come to this decision. So they're probably the 3 most important external decision makers in our roadmap. And hopefully what you guys see from Brian, who I'll pass it over to next, resonates with some of the problems you're feeling on a day-to-day basis. Because at the end of the day, this relationship with SYNAXON is one of the most strategic ones in our business. And we want to prove to you that we take it seriously, not just from we show up to a meeting here, but every day as we deliver features and stuff like that moving forward. So appreciate the 3 M's for being fair, but passing along, real feedback. And I'll pass it over to Brian, who's going to walk us through a little bit more of our product plan and what you guys should start feeling over the next kind of 60 to 90 days.
Awesome. That's great. Thanks, Riley, for the intro, the teeing up. And you're exactly right. Really, when we're designing the roadmap and the strategy, it's those 2 pillars that have driven us, with input from yourselves, from our partners, addressing and focusing on quality of existing features and services, and then really starting to invest initially in the back-end services and components to build out a modern platform. And that's what you will start to see in the months ahead. It's actually not just Insight, it's also N-Central. We're modernizing both onto a unified modern technology stack. And really what we're seeing is an opportunity and a drive that will, by working together, we'll be able to capitalize on. The environment we're working in, that you're working in, is changing dramatically. The threat landscape is constantly evolving. We're bringing more solutions to market to help you manage and take advantage. There's the direction of movement to the cloud. It's no longer on-prem servers and Windows laptops. There's more complexity, more cloud-based assets that are coming more and more into the fore. And we have some solutions we're working on to help you manage those. Increased complexity of assets you manage generally, from mobile devices, laptops, not just Windows, hybrid and bring your own device, work environments, people working from home, and how do you manage those? So we have our Take Control offering that we're enhancing in that direction as well. We hear from all partners in every corner, in every market, how labor, people, talent is a real challenge to attract and retain talented technicians and managers. And we see an opportunity and a requirement really for automation to help scale your business and your operations. There's a real opportunity for artificial intelligence in this. And yes, there's a lot of buzz about this, and we don't see everything working just yet, but as a technology innovation and direction, it's certainly coming. We also see partners consolidate, certainly in the US, also a lot of money in private equity going into this segment, the MSP space, and the businesses are evolving, in some cases getting larger, in some cases specializing in verticals and niches. So there's a lot here that we're responding to. We see a lot of opportunity for us to collectively take advantage. And so we recognize that as a business, you typically use multiple tools. You'll have an RM solution like Insights. You'll have a ticketing tool, quite possibly. You'll have remote access tools like Take Control or maybe TeamViewer. You would use password management systems and so on. Services that you take to market, security offering, backup and recovery solutions, monitoring solutions. And so there's a whole collection of what we'll call an ecosystem of tools and services that you operate within, and it's constantly evolving. And there's an opportunity for us to center Enable with its existing functionality and capabilities, along with accessing other tools through a data-centric design, a vision, a platform that we're developing that allows us and yourselves to deliver those services in a coherent, efficient way. And it's the bringing together really of the ecosystem and the technology and the products that we have and that we're developing and the partnerships that we're building around this that take us to what we're calling the Enable Ecoverse. And it's really a vision towards understanding how the complexities of the different assets that you're managing and the services and monitoring that you layer on top, how to make that hang together in a way that's going to make you successful and allows us to take advantage of the evolving landscape. So we have users, clouds, physical devices. They need to be monitored and managed. Your traditional RM place, patch management and automation. We're investing in automation, and I'll share some more specifics about what that means for Insights in the coming months and year as we build out our capabilities towards the Ecoverse vision. You need to protect and secure those services. Patch is already a part of that, of course, but we have our integrations with SentinelOne, our managed detection and response. We're working on vulnerability management, and I'll give you a bit more of an update on that. Mail protection, identity protection. These are all things and capabilities that we have that we're working on making it so they work together more seamlessly in our technology offering, in our service offering. And then securing the assets you manage also requires it to be protected with data backup and recovery. We have our excellent Cove solution that is part of the Enable technology stack, but we'll work with third-party vendors as well in an open ecosystem and offer cloud recovery solutions. And it's really the bringing those together into a service, an architecture that is very data-centric. Ultimately, a lot of what we're describing here is data. It's movement of data, it's understanding data, telemetry, and bringing those components together so we can generate insights powered by AI where that's applicable, offer automation workflows and scalability capabilities really so that you can build a solution and a service layer on top of what we are able to offer whilst harnessing all these different tools and applications that you typically use. Part of that is our API strategy. Part of that is integrating with third-party vendors so that we can provide an open space for these collaborations. Now that's a strategy that we've started and we're investing towards. I want to translate that a little more towards what that really means for you as users of Insights. And so I'll share some of the recent updates that we've put into the solution, what we're working on now, what's coming next, and how we hope to improve and enhance the day-to-day operations and scripting and monitoring that you perform through Insights, along with the services such as patch management and managed antivirus. And as Riley already said, we've had a real focus, and we're continuing to focus on quality and reliability and performance of existing features and services. While we're modernizing, we're starting to introduce some new workflows and UI. We it's absolutely critical that the existing feature set works reliably with high quality all of the time. And that's what this is part of. Since the start of the year, we've reduced our customer bugs backlog by more than half. And I'm not pleased to admit, but it was too high. We did have quite a big backlog of bugs that needed to be prioritized. We're now getting through those much more efficiently. We're just managing them better. We've also put more resources on it. We have a new team who deal with our daily triage of incoming issues, and they're taking them and turning them around much more quickly. So that also improves the overall quality of the product, but also the customer service that we're able to deliver. Hopefully you've felt those improvements, but we're not complacent. We're not done. There's more road to go, but we're making real good progress on getting to a fully sustainable setup with bugs and quality of the product. Part of this is the modernization of the back-end services and how those are going to power the Ecoverse vision and direction. But as we build this out, we can start to incorporate some of those enhancements and those investments. And one of the first pieces to go into the RM solution Insight and in Central also is a new modern agent component. It's actually there with our latest Windows agents that we'll be making GA generally available in October. We have a little bit of work to do to then turn on the ability for automated tasks to run in near real time, meaning when you say run this task, it will actually always run the task there and then on the spot. We did put some improvements in about a year ago to already make it more real time, but there is a reliability issue there. We're resolving that with the modern architecture with this new agent component so that it's more reliable. And it's also the foundation for some of the modernization and the new UI that I'll show you in a moment that's coming into Insight in the next few months as well. And this underpins the improvements to automation and scripting. So as mentioned, we want to make sure that when you run scripts for resolving IT help desk issues or schedule them to run to proactively address problems that may occur or prevent them from occurring, that it does this reliably and persistently. So that's what's going in with the new Windows agent that we're just making GA at the moment. Some of the highlights, I've touched on a few, and this is just a quick summary just to showcase some of the upgrades that we've put in, as well as the focus on reducing the bugs backlog. We've improved our monitoring for antivirus products with the introduction of the Microsoft Security Center, just as an example of working more smartly when it comes to monitoring capabilities. We've introduced the start of the modern UI with the asset inventory, and we'll talk a bit more about that. We have a patch management team and its own roadmap, and a product manager looking after enhancements to patch management. We put a number of upgrades in over the last 12 or so months. They're working on incorporating a modern UI and evolving that further, and we'll take a bit more of a look at that also. We're continuing to build out our Apple management capabilities, and that's really part of recognizing that it's no longer a Windows-only environment that many of our end customers work in. They typically have Apple devices. We're also working on upgrading our Linux support, so that new modern agent is also in progress for Apple and Linux. And then we'll look at other network devices potentially and how we can upgrade monitoring of those. So a lot going on. There's also some enhancements to the Sentinel-1 integration, and I'll touch on those as well in a moment. So alongside improving the reliability and quality of existing features, we're also introducing new, more modern UI for helping you and day-to-day technicians using the solution to work more efficiently, to turn around issues more quickly, to help build a better customer service to your end customers. And so we're starting to introduce a new UI. And the first piece that you would have seen of this, well, hopefully you've seen, is the introduction of the new asset inventory view, which is there in the left side navigation. So it's a much more flexible, modern looking UI that straight away gives you much better monitoring, searching, filtering capabilities for assets you manage. This first introduction of the new UI and all the enabled products are starting to move towards this. So when you look at Cove, for example, they're starting to introduce this modern UI, Take Control, Passportal, all the solutions, all the enabled products are standardizing on this same UI framework, the same library of components. It's good for our efficiency to deliver functionality more quickly. It's good for you as users because it's the same UI each time. There's no learning curve that's different for each product. It no longer looks like a collection of different solutions that maybe were acquired over time, each with their own UI. We're centralizing and consolidating on a very user-friendly, intuitive interface. The asset inventory reports makes it much easier to find hardware under management by model or manufacturer or RAM or the age of the device, CPU, etc. Just much easier to then build a view of assets and export this to Excel, for example, to include in let's say a quarterly customer report. Perhaps you were advising them to upgrade hardware. So much easier to view, monitor, manage the hardware, the assets under management. We have a few updates coming. We just based on the feedback that we've heard from partners like yourself, adding a compact view so you can see more devices on the page, the real estate. I will continue to enhance this, but the significant next new evolution really of this strategy of the roadmap is the introduction. We're aiming to have this in late Q4 of a new technician help desk view, similar to the asset inventory one that I just showed, but this is much more focused on help desk technicians who are looking to find devices quickly to help in order to resolve incoming customer support cases from your customers. It uses the same UI, it uses the same ability to sort, search, filter columns with data, IP address or a serial number, for instance, to more easily find devices. And then we're going to start to layer in those tools that you use most often to resolve problems. So we're working on a new reboots feature. I'll show a little bit more about that in a moment. Of course, we'll have Take Control in there. We're working on a new scripting capability as part of the modernization. So it'll be much easier to just quickly select a script, run the script, resolve the issue. And it's really taking a focus on the use case, the workflow. What is the technician, the user doing day to day most commonly, and how can we help make that more efficient so that you can reduce the resolution time it takes to solve PSA tickets, for example, improve your customer satisfaction, support service level agreements potentially. It's really taking the modern UI and starting to design it towards specific hardware use cases and workflows. And so one of the things that's part of this, and it is also foundations for future developments towards modernizing our monitoring capabilities, is a new script repository. So you can add your own scripts and then run scripts on endpoints on the fly. Today, if you want to run a script, it's a cumbersome process. You have to add an automated task and you have to set a schedule. Maybe you just wanted to run it once. Then you run the task, hopefully in near real time, but not always. Although soon that's being much improved. And then you'd have to remove the task. And it's just an example of where the original existing UI has some constraints, is not always very efficient. And instead of trying to make the existing UI better and addressing it there, the opportunity with the Ecoverse strategy is for us to address it in a modern UI. And that's exactly what we're doing. So we'll make it much easier to run scripts on demand to resolve IT issues. We're looking to give you the ability to select the credentials you use when you run the script on the endpoint. Today, it's always runs as the sysadmin, but sometimes you need to run it as a local user, for example. So some improvements that are coming through in that area, and offer easier oversight of which scripts ran when on which devices as part of this. It's not just about making it easy to run scripts, it's also making it easy to then see where they ran, who ran them, when did they run, so you can get a history of a device and use that history of a device to troubleshoot issues as well and diagnose problems and see correlations. One of the other options that we're enhancing as part of this is the reboots feature. And Insight has obviously its reboots option currently. And yet a lot of our partners will go to this automation cookbook. It's a resource where you can find scripts that we produce for customers to use a scripted version instead, because the existing reboot is a bit limited. What we're doing with the new reboots as part of the new technician workflow is to add some real nice end-user friendly options. So, and you'll be in control, but you would have the option to let an end-user snooze a reboot, or maybe cancel a reboot. Some clever pieces, so maybe only let them snooze it 2 or 3 times. You don't want them to snooze it forever. If you need to reboot a device for a patch to take place, for example, we're going to give you the ability to add your own logo and the customizable message, so you can get your brand a little bit more in front of the partner. And then, just like with scripting, there's a lot of emphasis we're putting on helping you manage settings at scale. So when we introduce the ability to create scheduled reboots, maybe you want to reboot servers once a month as standard. We're going to make sure that it's easy for you to see which devices have which schedules, or start with a schedule and see which devices have that. It's going to help you manage the devices and the end users and their systems at scale much more efficiently, with control and quality controls over those settings. So the first piece will be to offer a reboot on the spot, and then we'll add the scheduling, we'll add the configuration options, we'll add the customization, and you'll start to see this a little bit more as a pattern when we introduce new features, that we will start with a first set, and then we'll continue to enhance and build functionality like we have done actually with the that asset inventory view, the first piece of the modern UI. There are some improvements coming for take control. It's typically the most used tool. The take control team, who are based in Lisbon, actually are busy with multi-monitor support to really make it easy for you to take control of a device with more than one monitor enabled. Out of the session chats, with video calls, and something that's coming, it should be end of October, the technician toolbox, which is a take control version of the ability to add and run scripts within the take control account. And it's another addition to the help desk technician who's on a take control session with a customer trying to solve an issue, one of the options that they'll now be able to use is the ability to click and run a script to resolve a typical problem. Take Control also includes the option for remote control of a device that's not yet under management. So depends on your license, and we can maybe talk afterwards if this is applicable for yourselves, but a little bit like a TeamViewer option, I forget what it was called, the thing might be Quick Connect or along those lines. You can use or help a customer with a Take Control session by exchanging a PIN code, where you can direct them to a URL and they can enter that PIN number. So it's a way to manage and remotely connect to devices not under management. Maybe they're working from home that day on their personal computer and then nonetheless need assistance. We call it Take Control Fast Assist, and it's an option that, when enabled, is there for you in the platform bar. I think I mentioned patch management and the roadmap they're building out and integrating with Insight. We'll be looking at CBSS scoring. We have been increasing the number of third-party apps that we support. This is based on feedback. If in your region there are popular apps that we don't yet cover in patch management, let us know. We can definitely look at prioritizing those up the queue potentially. We've done that for a number of partners and a number of different regions, and that's an option. We use the inputs to prioritize third-party patches. The patch team are also working on modernizing the UI using exactly those same components and the same UI designs to make it easier to see which patches are installed where, to set rules for automating patches. We're looking to add patch to Apple properly. You can patch Apple in Insight using an automated task, and it's functional, but it's not what you would call a full patch solution. So as they're improving and modernizing patch management, that's part of the scope, potentially Linux as well. And then Apple, similar story. We have a team that's dedicated to our Apple roadmap and an Apple product manager. They're busy enhancing Apple. Again, I've upgraded the UI to use those same standard components in our device management for Apple area in Insight. They're introducing customizable dashboards with widgets that you'll be able to control. The nice thing there is we'll be able to use those efforts in Insight's modernizing of the UI as well. So we get a lot of reuse of centrally shared components such as customizable dashboards. They're looking at lock and locate for lost or stolen Apple devices, and also file vault management, or a BitLocker on Apple to make it possible for you to manage and remotely control file vault settings. And then just the last update in this section is that we're going to be looking at support for Entra ID. We'd have to, again, see how applicable it is to yourselves with your account setup. But it means for partners who use Entra, they'll be able to instruct Entra or users through Entra to add and remove users to Insight. And so you don't have to onboard or offboard users in a separate process and then forget to not remove somebody when they leave the business. So a more secure, more managed user management system. We are starting with Entra. We will then be looking at other third-party identity providers as well. But many of our partners, because of Microsoft, of course, use Entra. And so that's what we're looking to introduce probably in the first half of next year, maybe a little sooner if we can get started in the next few weeks. In the interest of time, I will carry on. I know we're to 1:15. Is that okay for a quick time check? I don't know if there's been any questions in the meantime that maybe we want to pause for.
we also need a few minutes for Marvin to talk about some other things. So maybe you can expedite.
Yes, absolutely. I can certainly be quick for this section. I'll just very briefly highlight. So we have an integration with SentinelOne. We're continuing to build this partnership out, and it's a forerunner really of the Ecoverse strategy, and pioneering some of the concepts with this partnership. And as I mentioned, continuing to enhance the offering here. We are also looking at vulnerability management. And this is something we're actually building ourselves, where we'll offer you a view, again, in the modern UI to see operating system and application vulnerabilities across your endpoints. It will include software inventory, so you'll be able to see all the software installed on the devices you manage and how many devices have that particular piece of software. And then from there, we can start to introduce options like remove software, automation rules to remove software, or maybe install software as well. So very excited about this. It will add significant value and options to the platform, to RM. And the last section, and I'll be indeed brief, is just to highlight that we are working with Microsoft on a new cloud management service. The challenge really is for many partners, they're using multitude of Microsoft's tools to manage assets and manage users. And so we're looking in our Cloud Commander offering to bring this together to help you manage in a single UI, in a single system, all those disparate, different Microsoft tools and capabilities, users, Azure assets, Microsoft 365 and Entra, Intune, also the ability to deploy agents through Intune as we move forward in this direction. So I think that starts to wrap me up, actually. We are focusing on the quality of the existing functionality, including some significant upgrades to automation that are being starting to deploy around now. We have the modernization to help all of us take advantage of the evolving landscape. That includes security services, and it includes these moves into the cloud to help us manage those assets efficiently and build services that you can offer to customers around it. There you go. I did wrap up fairly quick. I hope that was useful. And if there's any questions, of course.
Thank you. So, jetzt hat der Brian uns hier ganz viele Infos gegeben. Haben wir irgendwelche Fragen? Oder wenn es irgendwelche Fragen gibt, einfach Fragen, Deutsch oder Englisch. Das kriegen wir hin. Ansonsten, falls ja, bitte?
Entschuldige. Also wenn Fragen, gerne parallel. Ich kann schon mal so ein bisschen SYNAXON Services Dashboard zeigen. Auch gar kein Problem. All right.
Brian,
Thank you very much, Riley. Thank you very much, Brian.
Presenting, please. So Marvin can show us screen.
I'll stop sharing.
Thank you very much.
Irgendwelche, Marvin, während du die vorbereitest, wenn es irgendwelche Fragen noch kommen, einfach entweder tippen oder hinten nach, können wir die auch noch weitergeben, habt ihr gehört. Wir sind da sehr engen Austausch.
Ich hätte eine Frage oder ein paar Fragen.
Gern.
Einmal, ganz am Anfang gab es eine Folie mit Produkten, die ihr zusammenarbeitet oder integriert. Ist das so, dass ihr quasi die Produkte dann selber anbietet, oder ist es eine Partnerschaft, zum Beispiel mit Antivirenschutzprogrammen, zum Beispiel, weil ich in Vergangenheit quasi mit anderen Solutions gearbeitet habe, die zwar quasi Probleme hatten mit Antivirenschutzprogrammen oder anderen Programmen, sage ich jetzt mal. Ob es da sowas gibt bei euch?
Wie ist jetzt die Frage nicht?
Einmal bietet ihr Produkte an, sowas wie Antivirenschutz, weil ihr habt ja am Anfang, wie gesagt, stand ja dran mit Ransomware-Schutz, sonstiges. Oder habt ihr eine Liste, mit welchen Produkten ihr am besten funktioniert?
Es gibt da, es gibt mehrere Optionen. Es gibt einmal eine ins RMM eingebaute, und ansonsten gibt es noch 2 weitere Optionen. Am besten, wenn du da detaillierte Fragen zu hast, einfach bei uns ein Ticket oder ein One-on-One-Call, ein Einzelcall buchen.
Ja, okay.
Das ist am effizientesten.
Ja, okay. Dann eigentlich hätte ich auch noch sehr spezielle Fragen, deswegen alles gut. Kann ich ja dann an One-on-One. Das ist, glaube ich, ein bisschen voller.
Markus, ich glaube, Frank hier, grüß euch.
Hallo.
Ich sag's mal auf Englisch, damit die Jungs das verstehen. I do believe that his question went along, it went into that direction, saying that if you as Enable offer certain solutions, are they combined with specific antivirus solutions that you develop yourselves? Or are they combined with antivirus solutions, as an example, by specific vendors?
So for antivirus solutions, we have some partnerships, 2 partnerships today that allow us to have quite a tight coupling. That's Bitdefender with the managed antivirus and SentinelOne. But we're intending to be an open platform. So maybe I mentioned it, but not too much. We have an API strategy that we're working on that will allow third-party partners that we work with to integrate into our monitoring and scripting.
Okay, I was just wondering, when I saw the slides, it made the impression on me that you guys are thinking about developing your own thing. And
yeah, I thought it too.
That confused me a bit. So I think that was what Hessenberger. I don't know your first name.
Thomas.
what you were hinting at. All right,
Yeah.
thank you.
So
Thanks.
no plans for that as such, but it's partnerships and integrations is where we're.
Sehr gut.
Marvin.
Okay. So, wir sind jetzt am Ende der Spannungskurve. Ich glaube, das von Brian und Wiley kann ich jetzt nicht so ganz toppen. Aber wir machen ja auch viel ich sage jetzt mal, das ganze Portal um Endzeit herum. Wir knüpfen uns genau an die Schnittstellen an, die gerade eben Brian noch erwähnt hat. Und zwar machen wir, oder eine unserer Kernleistungen ist ja auch das Patch-Management. Und bei dem Patch-Management gehört ebenfalls auch das Qualifizieren der Updates mit dazu. Und deswegen zeige ich das einfach nochmal. Wir merken immer wieder, okay, dieses Dashboard, gerade unser SYNAXON Services Dashboard, ist nicht gerade, ich sage jetzt mal, immer präsent. Das heißt, nicht alle kennen es, deswegen zeige ich es gerne nochmal. Wir haben jetzt auch gerade erst eine neue Funktion oder ein paar neue Funktionen veröffentlicht, die vielleicht noch nicht alle kennen, deswegen zeige ich die einfach mal in ein paar kurzen Schritten. Wichtig zu sagen ist, dass wir die Patche immer händisch qualifizieren. Das heißt, Microsoft oder Third-Party-Applikationen veröffentlichen Updates. Was wir dann erstmal tun ist, wir prüfen diese Updates. Okay, gibt es irgendwelche bekannten Fehler, kommen irgendwelche Bluescreens, gibt es irgendwelche Abstürze? Und das ist alles, was wir dann im Hintergrund tun. Das ist momentan noch sehr, sehr schwierig zu automatisieren. Deswegen tun wir es momentan noch händisch. Und wir geben auch einen Kanal zurück, wo ihr jetzt zum Beispiel kontrollieren könnt, okay, welche Updates sind denn jetzt zum Beispiel erlaubt worden, welche Updates sind zum Beispiel nicht erlaubt worden. Und jetzt haben wir eine große Funktion mit hinzugefügt. Und zwar ist jetzt auch eine Möglichkeit geschaffen worden, wie ihr sagen könnt, okay, es gibt jetzt Updates, die möchte ich jetzt ausrollen, weil die zum Beispiel von der SYNAXON pauschal erstmal gesperrt werden. Das sind zum Beispiel Previews. Das heißt, das kann ich mir relativ einfach mit anschauen. Ich kann entweder hier hingehen und kann sagen, okay, ich suche jetzt einfach mal nach Preview. Das war zum Beispiel jetzt auch letztens eine Frage, wie kann ich denn mir sowas anschauen? Ich gebe Preview ein, ich finde alles Mögliche. Und jetzt kann ich zum Beispiel einfach sagen, okay, jetzt habe ich bestimmte Updates, kann jetzt irgendwas sein. Und ich sage, okay, ich möchte die jetzt einfach an bestimmten Kunden ausrollen. Jetzt gibt es vielleicht einen Kunden, okay, der hat das in Office 365, da muss jetzt irgendwas ausgerollt werden, die möchten jetzt die neuesten Funktionen mit KI irgendwas testen. Kann ich jetzt einfach sagen, okay, alles klar, das sind jetzt diese 3 Kunden und die sollen jetzt dieses Update bekommen. Und jetzt habe ich einmal nochmal eine Übersicht, okay, das sind jetzt die Updates, die es betrifft, das sind jetzt die Kunden, die es an denen es ausgerollt wird, und jetzt kann ich sagen, okay, ich möchte das Ganze jetzt eben mit diesem Update rausschieben an die Kunden, die können es jetzt soweit dann ganz normal über das Patch-Management erhalten. Das passiert soweit alles im Hintergrund. Alternativ, wenn jetzt zum Beispiel von uns ein Update freigegeben wurde, wo ihr sagt, okay, das Update sollte jetzt aber vielleicht noch nicht ausgerollt werden, könnt ihr es auch genauso im Gegenteil tun. Ihr könnt auch sagen, dieses Update soll auf den Geräten ignoriert werden. So, das Ganze eben bestätigt, läuft das Ganze soweit jetzt im Hintergrund. Ihr könnt jetzt zumindest noch weitermachen, könnt euch weitere Updates angucken, könnt aber euch auch weiter im Dashboard bewegen. Und zwar gibt es jetzt, ich sage jetzt mal auch im Bereich Berichte, wichtiger Punkt ist unser neues Berichtswesen. Da geht es im Kern darum, auch von anderen Managed Service Produkten, die wir mit angebunden haben, die Informationen zusammenzufassen und die Kunden mit einem aggregierten Bericht eben zu versorgen. Das heißt, nicht nur immer Einzelberichte aus vielen verschiedenen einzelnen Produkten, sondern zusammengeführt. Aber auch wichtig, der Vertriebschancen-Report, ich sage jetzt mal auch an der Stelle ein bisschen unterschätzt. Auch das kann man hervorragend nutzen. Befindet sich jetzt auch alles im SYNAXON Services Dashboard, wer es vermisst. Genau. So, wenn ihr Fragen habt, gerne her damit, ob jetzt direkt nochmal zum Insight oder zum SYNAXON Services Dashboard. Dann war das jetzt eine kurze Zusammenfassung.
Danke, das war richtig, richtig flink. Ja, gibt es noch weitere Fragen? Nicht schüchtern. Ansonsten gibt es die Aufzeichnung. Die stellen wir euch allen zur Verfügung. Und wenn ihr noch irgendwas gefunden habt, einfach gerne noch im Nachgang fragen.
Ich hätte noch eine Frage.
Auf geht's.
Was hat denn Priorität beim Patch-Management? Das, was ich über die Webseite von euch mache oder das, was ich über das Take Control beziehungsweise das Enable Dashboard sofort konfiguriere?
Ein Patch kann immer nur einen Status haben. Das heißt, wenn ich jetzt einen Patch nehme und ich rolle den jetzt aus, zum Beispiel jetzt ein Windows 11 Upgrade, ist zum Beispiel, was wir auch pauschal jetzt mal deaktivieren, weil wir möchten natürlich kontrolliert Windows 11 ausrollen. Das heißt, das, was ich jetzt über das Dashboard hier ausrollen würde, würde alles überschreiben. Das heißt, wenn ich das jetzt in meinen Patch-Policies eingestellt habe, wenn ich das jetzt händisch auf Ignorieren gestellt habe, ich würde es damit immer ausrollen. Weil wir möchten natürlich jetzt einen konsistenten Status haben. Das heißt, wenn ich jetzt dieses Update nehme und sage, ich möchte es an diesem Kunden ausrollen, kriegen das alle Geräte, wo das Update noch aussteht. Relativ einfach gehalten.
Ja, ne, passt ja. Das war ja eine wichtige Info.
Mich hat noch gefragt, wie können die Roadmap-Einträge von SYNAXON bei Enable priorisiert werden? Also, okay, I'll do this in English. So there was one comment how the roadmap requests of SYNAXON are being prioritized within Enable. I think Riley's made a few comments very early on about the how tight the relationship is that we have. I have this subjective feeling that unlike a few years ago, things are not in a bad shape. But maybe Brian and Riley would like to comment on that.
Yeah, so we tried to take certainly a partner first approach to prioritizing features on the backlog. So we like to say everybody has opinions, but it's the ones from partners that are what counts, and it's how we can, on the product management side, make a persuasive argument to leadership to say we should invest in a certain area. It's always by being able to point to customer data, and that's part of the direction that product management as a group has been implementing and been following more strictly, I would say, in the last couple of years, maybe compared to before. And we will try and pull in data points from yourselves, from other partners, from our partner forums. We have partner groups that we go to with ideas. So it's really bringing those together along with balancing them against strategic direction. And sometimes these are bigger things, sometimes there's more specific things, but it's the collection of partner feedback that feeds into how we prioritize. small, medium, and larger projects on the backlog, generally speaking.
And I would say specifically for Insight, the doc market represents a significant portion of our customers and revenue for this product. So disproportionately to some of the other products in our portfolio, it's a more than double-digit representation for us, whereas on N-Central, it's low single digits. So I would say specifically to SYNAXON, who obviously represents a large number of MSPs, it gets prioritized up the Insight roadmap faster than basically other products and things along that nature. So this is Insight is almost synonymous with doc success, which is why 3 years ago, I would say we lost our way and we brought in new product leadership 2 years ago. You started to feel it at the beginning of this year, but all of that is based off basically an outside in versus an inside out thinking from priorities, etc. So Insight Germany is not an afterthought. I would say it probably was in 2020, sorry. And I hope, obviously, Marcus, I appreciate the kind words, but it's a significant change in our trajectory. I'd say it started moving 18 months ago to a year. You probably started feeling it as partners probably 6 to 9 months ago. And now it's just about continuing down that, building on that momentum.
Thank you. Michael, hat das deine Frage beantwortet?
Not at all. I think more about the feature requests we are doing, or Felix is doing, and we think that they are on hold at yours because they do not have that much amount of votes as others have. But we are not able to vote for them because we do not have an account.
So feature is we triangulate. So it's one source. We'll Marcus, maybe we can talk offline if there's a way to increase accounts, or Francesco, that might be an internal thing. I would say it's only one of probably 10 listening posts where we intake information from. So we can, Francesco, maybe we can take that offline. I'm assuming it's an enable problem with getting them access to voting, but I can assure you it's one of many sources of information.
Also wir gehen nicht nur vom Voting aus. Es gibt halt verschiedene Quellen, womit wir halt kursieren. Einmal das ist das Voting natürlich, dann hat dort die gute Zusammenarbeit mit der SYNAXON, und wenn SYNAXON bei uns was eingibt, dann haben wir das natürlich halt schon mal eine andere Gewichtung, als wenn das einzelner Account eingibt. Aber das können wir nochmal in einer kleinen Runde besprechen, und dass wir halt da ein bisschen mehr Fokus drauf setzen. Das kann.
Wir nehmen das noch mit. Danke, Michael. Sonstige Fragen noch? Dann?
What about your reports about or reports from Enable Native for the customers, but we do not get them for the locations? And there are lots of reports possible to produce within the Enable dashboard, but they are all on customer level. But our customers are on location level, so we need all these reports on location level.
That's good feedback. Thank you for sharing it. It does tie in with some work we're doing at the moment to see if we can use or how we can enhance the reporting capabilities. One of the options we're exploring is a tie-in with Power BI, potentially. We know a lot of partners already use Microsoft Power BI, and we've seen success with that in the N-Central side. And one of the main drivers for this would be for more flexible customer reporting, and the ability to use to segment devices or by clients, but also by sites, by location, is one of those requirements that we actually also see in the ideas section that you just mentioned. So that's definitely on the list. And one of the discussions we're having currently about how we can take the that integration that's proving successful within Central, and is that a good solution for how we can modernize reports in Insight as well?
Thank you very much.
Michael, das Thema ist schon das eine oder andere Mal aufgekommen. Da gibt es im Moment technische Beschränkungen im Hintergrund, wo man einfach, was der Brian ja auch gerade gesagt hat, man nichts machen kann. Aber sie sind dran. Aber danke nochmal, das brennt uns auch echt auf den Nägeln. Thank you, Brian. Noch irgendwas? Ansonsten vielen, vielen herzlichen Dank. Schön, dass ihr alle da wart. Brian, Riley, Francesco, and Hauke, thank you so much for being here and really appreciate you sticking it out and staying here all the way until the end. This was very helpful, very interesting, and highly, highly appreciate.
Thank you very much for your time.
Einen wunderschönen
Danke.
Abend und tschüss.
Tschüss.
Ciao.
Schönen Tag.
Bye.